My golden brother moved his pregnant girlfriend into my house while I was on vacation. My parents called me heartless for wanting them out. I evicted them and had him arrested for breaking in. Hey Reddit. So my brother decided to move his pregnant girlfriend into my house while I was out of town. No permission asked, no heads up, nothing. Just straight up helped himself to my property like it was an all-you-can-squat buffet. When I told him to get out, my parents called me heartless. When he tried breaking in later, I had him arrested. Buckle up because this family drama is about to get wild. I'm 28, work in commercial real estate sales, and I've been financially independent since I was 19. My younger brother Ethan is 26, works part-time at a vape shop when he feels like showing up, and has been financially dependent on our parents since forever. The difference between us isn't just our work ethic, though. It's how our parents have treated us our entire lives. Before I get into the main story, you need to understand the family dynamic I grew up with because context matters here. The golden child favoritism in my house wasn't subtle. It was so blatant that teachers, neighbors, and extended family all noticed it. When I was 8 years old, I saved up my allowance for months to buy this remote control helicopter I'd been wanting. Finally got it. Played with it for maybe 2 days before Ethan broke it. He was 5, grabbed it off my desk, and crashed it into the garage door. Thing shattered. When I got upset, my parents told me accidents happen and that I needed to learn to share. No replacement, no consequences for Ethan. That same year, Ethan wanted this expensive Lego set. My parents bought it immediately. When he lost half the pieces within a week, they bought him another one. Different rules for different kids. Middle school was more of the same. I got straight A's and got a good job at dinner. Ethan brought home 3 C's, 2 D's, and a B- in gym, and my parents took him to his favorite restaurant to celebrate how hard he tried. High school amplified everything. I joined debate team, worked at a restaurant, and maintained a 3.9 GPA. Ethan barely graduated with a 2.1. When I graduated, my parents said parties were too expensive. 3 years later, Ethan's graduation had catered dinner, a DJ, and 80 people in our backyard. My mom said, "Your brother needs more encouragement than you did." When I was 16, I wanted a car. My parents told me to save up myself because learning responsibility builds character. I worked at a restaurant washing dishes, lived off ramen, and saved every penny for 2 years. Finally bought a beat-up Honda Civic with 180,000 miles. That car burned oil and had no AC, but it was mine because I earned it. When Ethan turned 16 3 years later, he mentioned wanting a car once at dinner. 2 weeks later, my parents bought him a 3-year-old Camry with 30,000 miles. Their explanation? Your brother isn't as capable as you. He needs more support. Within 6 months, Ethan had 3 speeding tickets and a fender bender. My parents paid for everything. College was the same pattern. I went to community college, then transferred to state school, because that's what I could afford while working night shifts at a grocery store. Graduated with a business degree and $12,000 in loans. Ethan went to an expensive private college at $50,000 per year. My parents paid for everything. Tuition, apartment, credit card, spending money. Took him 6 years, changed majors 4 times, and ended up with a general studies degree. When I questioned the unfairness, my dad said, "You turned out fine on your own, so our approach worked." The favoritism was so obvious that even extended family members would comment on it. My aunt once asked my mom point blank why Ethan got so much more support than I ever did. My mom's response was that I was naturally self-sufficient and didn't need as much help. What she really meant was that I learned early on that I couldn't count on them, so I figured out how to handle things myself. The favoritism was so obvious that even extended family commented on it. My aunt asked my mom why Ethan got more support. My mom said I was naturally self-sufficient. Translation? They could neglect me guilt-free. I never asked my parents for help after turning 19. Worked full-time through college, graduated at 22, got my real estate license, and started making decent money by 25. Bought my first rental property at 26, with money I'd saved living cheap. By 27, I'd saved enough for my own house. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, nice neighborhood in Columbus, Ohio. That house represented everything I'd accomplished without their help. 20% down payment to avoid PMI, comfortable mortgage. The day I got those keys was my proudest moment. I called my parents about the house. Mom said, "That's nice, dear. Your brother got promoted to shift supervisor." His promotion was at a pizza place with a 25-cent raise. I'd made the biggest purchase of my life, and she redirected to Ethan within seconds. Ethan was living in their basement at 26. Never paid rent, never had a lease in his name, never budgeted for utilities. My parents covered everything while he worked 20 hours weekly at a vape shop. They'd complain he'd never move out while doing his laundry and handing him money. I kept my distance. Showed up for major holidays out of obligation. Otherwise lived my own life. Built my career, invested in properties, had my own friends. Created a life I was proud of separate from them. 6 months ago, Ethan started dating Jess. She was 24, worked at a salon doing nails. Met her twice, seemed nice. Then after 3 months of dating, Ethan announced she was pregnant. When Ethan announced the pregnancy at dinner, my parents were thrilled. Absolutely over the moon. My mom started crying happy tears and hugging Jess. My dad shook Ethan's hand like he'd won the Nobel Prize. They immediately started talking about becoming grandparents, asking about due dates, discussing baby names. Nobody seemed concerned that Ethan had no stable job, no savings, and still lived in their basement. But sure, let's celebrate. My mom started buying baby stuff immediately. Within 2 weeks, my parents' basement looked like a baby store exploded. She'd send photos to the family group chat constantly. Look at this adorable elephant mobile. Or isn't this bassinet precious? Meanwhile, I'm thinking about who's actually going to pay for this kid's life. My dad started planning to convert part of the basement into a nursery. Started researching childcare costs and insurance plans. They were basically preparing to raise this kid themselves because Ethan and Jess clearly weren't equipped. I stayed out of it. Not my business. I had my own life, my own career, my own responsibilities. Their chaos didn't need to become my problem, but I should have seen the warning signs. Should have realized my parents would eventually try to pull me into fixing Ethan's mess. About 4 months into the pregnancy, Jess's parents kicked her out. The whole religious disapproval thing escalated. They told her she was an embarrassment and needed to leave. She moved into my parents' basement with Ethan. Now my parents had their 26-year-old son, his pregnant girlfriend, and an impending baby all under one roof. The basement was getting cramped. My mom started complaining about lack of space. I'd listen politely and think, "You enabled this, so deal with it." Flash forward to 2 months ago. I had this major work trip scheduled to Seattle for 8 days. One of my biggest potential clients was based there, a development company looking to invest in commercial properties across the Midwest. Multi-million-dollar deals. This trip had been on my calendar for 3 months, with multiple meetings scheduled, site visits planned, the whole production. Potentially career-defining stuff. I spent 2 weeks preparing, created detailed presentations, researched comparable properties, built financial models. This client could set me up for years if I landed them. Before leaving, I did my usual travel routine. Asked my neighbor Bill to grab my mail and keep an eye on things. Bill's retired, lives 3 houses down, former accountant, the kind of neighbor everyone wants. Set my lights on timers, made sure bills were on autopay, set my Ring doorbell to send notifications. Standard procedure. Here's my mistake. I have a spare key at my parents' place. It's been there since I bought the house for emergencies only. Like if there's a pipe burst while I'm gone, they can let emergency services in. Never had a problem with it in 2 years. That spare key became the source of all this mess. I should have seen this coming. Should have realized that emergency access meant they could give Ethan access. But I trusted them not to cross that line. I flew out Sunday afternoon. Direct flight. Got in around 6 p.m. Checked into my hotel downtown, reviewed notes, went to bed early. First meeting was Monday at 9 a.m. The week went incredibly well work-wise. Monday's initial meeting went great. Client loved my research. Tuesday, I did site visits to 3 properties they were considering. Wednesday was financial modeling reviews. Thursday, we had lunch with their full investment team, and I presented my comprehensive proposal. Friday was follow-up discussions and contract negotiations. By Friday afternoon, I was 90% sure I'd landed them, a deal that would triple my commission income for the year. I was so focused on work I barely checked my phone except for client communications. When you're trying to close a deal this big, everything else fades. I'd glance at my Ring doorbell notifications occasionally and see normal stuff. Delivery trucks, neighbor kids, Bill checking my mailbox. Nothing concerning. Friday evening around 8 p.m., my phone rang. Bill. The second I saw his name, my stomach dropped. Bill never called unless something was wrong. "Hey man, hope I'm not interrupting your trip." "No, it's fine. What's going on?" "I grabbed your mail like you asked, but I wanted to check something. There are cars in your driveway, parked there, and I've seen people going in and out of your house the last few days. Figured maybe you had family staying there and forgot to mention it?" My brain completely stopped. People. In my house. Going in and out. "Bill, nobody is supposed to be at my house. Nobody has permission to be there." Silence for a few seconds. "Well, there's definitely people there. I saw a young couple unloading stuff from a U-Haul on Tuesday. Moving boxes, furniture, all kinds of things. I almost came over to say hi, but then figured I should check with you first. Tuesday. They'd moved in Tuesday. I'd been gone since Sunday. Within 48 hours of me leaving, someone moved into my house. Can you see them right now? Are they there? Let me look. I heard Bill walking, probably to his front window. Yeah, there's a car in your driveway. Lights are on in your house. Looks like someone's home. I opened my Ring doorbell app right there in the hotel lobby where I'd stopped to take this call. Started scrolling through the notifications I'd been ignoring all week. Tuesday at 11:47 a.m., my front door opens. The video shows it clear as day. There's Ethan, big smile on his face, spare key in his hand like he owned the place. Behind him is Jess, visibly pregnant in a maternity top, carrying shopping bags. Both of them acting like this was completely normal. I scrolled through more videos, my anger building with each new clip. 11:52 a.m. Ethan's making another trip with a box labeled kitchen stuff. 12:15 p.m. Jess is carrying in what looks like clothes on hangers. 12:43 p.m. Both of them dragging in a mattress. 1:30 p.m. Ethan's coming back with more boxes. 2:15 p.m. They're unloading what appears to be baby furniture from the U-Haul. This wasn't them stopping by or checking on the house. This was a full coordinated move. They'd rented a U-Haul, packed up their stuff, and moved into my house like they'd planned this for weeks. The level of premeditation made it so much worse. I told Bill I'd call him back and hung up. Stood there in that hotel lobby, feeling like I'd been punched in the gut. All week I'd been working my tail off, closing this huge deal, building my career, and meanwhile my brother was stealing my house. Not borrowing it, not asking to stay there temporarily. Stealing it. My hands were shaking when I called Ethan. It rang 4 times before he answered all casual, like nothing was wrong. Hey bro, what's up? How's Seattle? What's up? What's up? Why are you in my house? He didn't even hesitate. Didn't apologize or sound caught. Just launched into his explanation like it was the most reasonable thing in the world. Oh yeah, meant to text you about that. Things got crazy over here. Jess's parents kicked her out last week. The whole religious thing really escalated. They told her she was an embarrassment to the family and that she needed to leave immediately. It was pretty brutal, man. She was crying. They wouldn't even let her take half her stuff. Just threw her out. Super messed up situation. Okay, and how does that lead to you being in my house? Well, Mom and Dad's basement is getting really crowded with all the baby stuff. There's barely room to walk down there anymore. And Jess has been stressed, which isn't good for the baby. The doctor said she needs to avoid stress as much as possible. So we figured we'd crash at your place for a bit since you travel for work so much. You weren't using the space anyway. It's actually perfect timing because you're gone and we needed somewhere quiet. Plus, your place is bigger than Mom and Dad's basement, and Jess can actually set up the nursery properly. Win-win situation, right? I took a deep breath. Tried to stay calm even though I wanted to reach through the phone and shake some sense into him. Ethan, that's my house. You can't just move into someone's house without permission. Did it occur to you to maybe call me and ask first? Dude, relax. It's not that big of a deal. We'll take care of the place. Actually, we already mowed your lawn because it was getting kinda long. And Jess cleaned your bathrooms. They were pretty gross, man. When's the last time you scrubbed your shower? We're being good tenants here. Tenants. He called them tenants. Like this was some official arrangement instead of breaking and entering. You need to leave. Today. Right now. He laughed. Actually laughed at me. Dude, Jess is 7 months pregnant. She's huge. We can't just pack everything up and move again. That's dangerous for her and the baby. The doctor specifically said she shouldn't be doing heavy lifting or getting too stressed. You want us to risk her going into early labor? That's on you then. Besides, we just got settled in. I already changed my address with the post office, so my mail comes here now. Set up bill payments to your address. The whole thing. Just let us stay until we figure something else out. You're being unreasonable. How long is until you figure something else out? I don't know, man. Maybe a few months after the baby's born? We need time to save up first and last month's rent for our own place. That takes a while, especially with baby expenses coming. You know how it is. Actually, you probably don't know how it is because you don't have kids. But trust me, it's expensive. We're trying to be responsible and save money before we move out on our own. A few months after the baby's born? Ethan, that's like 6 months minimum. You think you can just squat in my house for 6 months? It's not squatting. We're family. And yeah, probably around 6 months. Maybe 8 to be safe. Babies are expensive and we want to have a cushion saved up. Mom said you'd understand because family helps family. That's what she always says. I felt my blood pressure rising. I want you out by tomorrow. I get home Sunday night. If you're not gone when I arrive, I'm calling the police. His tone changed then. Got defensive. Whatever, man. You need to talk to mom and dad about this. They're the ones who gave me the key and said it was fine. They said it was the Christian thing to do, helping out family in need. Take it up with them. This isn't just on me. They approved it. I don't care who approved it. It's my house, not theirs. Mine. You don't get to just... He cut me off. Look, I gotta go. Jess needs help with something. Talk to mom and dad. They'll tell you you're being unreasonable about this. Later, he hung up. I immediately called my parents. My mom answered. This conversation, I'll remember for the rest of my life. Hi, honey. How's Seattle? Did you give Ethan my spare key and tell him he could move into my house? Silence. Then, well, yes, but it's not what you think. Jess had nowhere to go and Ethan needed help. We figured you wouldn't mind since you have all that extra space and you're gone so much anyway. You figured I wouldn't mind? You didn't think to ask me first? Honestly, we didn't think you'd be so selfish about it. It's just temporary until they get on their feet. Jess is pregnant. What kind of person would you be to throw them out on the street? The kind of person who owns his own house and expects basic respect from his family? Mom, this is insane. You can't just give someone permission to live in a house you don't own. My dad got on the phone. Your mother's right. You're being selfish. Ethan needs support right now, and you have the means to help. That's what family does. We're very disappointed in your attitude. Disappointed in my attitude. These people gave away access to my house without asking, and they were disappointed in me. I want them out by tomorrow. I'm not negotiating this. My mom started crying. Please don't do this. Jess has been through so much already. Her family abandoned her. We're all she has. If you kick them out, they'll have nowhere to go. Can't you just let them stay until the baby comes? Then they'll figure something out. Please, we're asking you as your parents to show some compassion here. This is what Jesus would do. No, they need to leave. My dad's voice went cold. If you do this, you're showing everyone what kind of man you really are. The kind who values property over family? We thought we raised you better than that. Your brother is in a vulnerable position, and you're just going to turn your back on him? That says everything about your character. My house, my rules. They leave tomorrow, or I call the cops. They hung up on me. I sat in that hotel lobby, trying to process what had just happened. My brother had essentially stolen my house with my parents' help, and now I was the bad guy for wanting my own home back. I immediately called a locksmith company in Columbus and scheduled them for 9 a.m. Saturday morning. Explained the situation, said it was an emergency. They charged extra for weekend service, but I didn't care. Paid over the phone. Then I called Ethan back and left a voicemail since he didn't answer. Told him a locksmith would be there at 9 a.m. to change all the locks. Told him if he wasn't gone by then, anything left inside would be placed on the curb, and he could sort through it there. Then I called Bill back. Asked if he could be present during the lock change to witness everything. Bill agreed immediately. Said he'd take photos and videos of the whole process just in case things got messy. Good man. Next, I booked an early flight home for Saturday morning instead of Sunday evening. If they were going to play games, I wanted to be there in person to make sure my house wasn't trashed on their way out. Changed my flight online, packed my bags that night, barely slept. Ethan called me back around midnight. You're seriously going to change the locks? Where are we supposed to go? Not my problem. You created this situation. Figure it out. Jess is pregnant. She can't be moving heavy boxes and sleeping on someone's couch. Have some humanity. I have plenty of humanity. What I don't have is patience for people who steal my house. You never asked permission. You just took what you wanted because that's what you've always done. Mom and dad have enabled you your whole life. That ends now. I'm not them. This is unbelievable. You know what? Fine. We'll leave. But don't come crying to us when you need family support someday. Don't expect to be part of this kid's life. Don't expect invites to holidays. You're choosing property over your own nephew or niece. Hope it's worth it. It's my house, not property. My house. And yeah, it's absolutely worth keeping people out who don't respect basic boundaries. He hung up again. My phone started blowing up immediately. Texts from my mom, my dad, even my aunt who somehow heard about this within minutes. All of them calling me heartless, selfish, cruel. My mom sent me a paragraph about how Jess was sobbing uncontrollably, and Ethan was so stressed that it wasn't healthy for the baby. How could I do this to them? Didn't I care about family? What would people think of me? I ignored all of it, turned my phone on Do Not Disturb, and tried to get a few hours of sleep before my flight. I landed Saturday around noon after catching the earliest flight I could get. The flight felt like it took forever. Every minute felt like an hour. I kept checking my phone, half expecting more drama from my family. Nothing new, though. They'd said their piece. Now it was time for me to enforce my boundaries. Drove straight home from the airport. Bill was already there in his driveway, just keeping an eye out like I'd asked. When I pulled up, he walked over. "They've been loading stuff all morning," he said. "U-Haul's been parked there since about 7 a.m. Your brother's been carrying boxes out looking pretty upset about it all. The girlfriend's been crying. It's been quite a scene." I thanked Bill and walked up to my house. The U-Haul was indeed parked in my driveway. Ethan and Jess were loading boxes into it, both looking miserable. When Ethan saw me pull up, he shot me the dirtiest look I've ever seen, like pure hatred. Jess just looked sad and kept her head down. I didn't say anything, just unlocked my front door with my key and walked through my house to survey what they'd done. Needed to see the damage before they left completely. They'd fully moved into the master bedroom. Their clothes filled my closet. Their shoes all over my closet floor. Their toiletries covered my bathroom counter. Makeup, hair products, electric toothbrushes, all their personal stuff just everywhere like they owned the place. My bedroom smelled different, like someone else's perfume and deodorant. The bed had different sheets on it than the ones I'd left. They'd actually changed my sheets to their own. The second bedroom was partially set up as a nursery. Crib assembled in the corner. Changing table against the wall. Baby clothes hung up in the closet. A rocking chair by the window. They'd put up these nursery decals on the wall of little animals and clouds. Stick-on decorations that would probably leave residue when removed. They'd really committed to making this their space. The kitchen had their food everywhere. Different brands than I usually buy. Generic cereal instead of the name brand I prefer. Their milk in the fridge. Their condiments in the door. Coffee creamer I'd never buy. Snacks I've never seen before. It wasn't just that they'd added their stuff. They'd rearranged my stuff to make room for theirs. My spices were pushed to the back. My coffee mugs relocated to a different cabinet. The living room had their furniture mixed in with mine. This ugly brown couch that didn't match anything. Their TV stand with their PlayStation hooked up to my TV. Their blankets draped over my furniture. Picture frames of them sitting on my end tables. This wasn't them crashing for a few days. This was a full-scale takeover, with zero intention of leaving anytime soon. I stood in my living room, in my house that I'd worked so hard for, looking at someone else's life planted in the middle of it. The disrespect was breathtaking. They'd just moved in and made themselves at home like my years of work meant nothing. I walked through every room taking mental inventory. The bathroom had water damage around the tub from where they'd clearly overfilled it. The kitchen had a burn mark on the counter where someone had set down a hot pan. Minor damage, but still my property being damaged by people who had no right to be here. It took them about 4 hours to get everything loaded up and out. I watched from the kitchen window, making sure they didn't take anything that belonged to me. Had to stay vigilant because at this point I didn't trust them not to grab my stuff out of spite. Ethan kept shooting me looks through the window, probably hoping I'd come out and apologize or change my mind. Wasn't happening. Jess cried while loading boxes. I felt bad for her situation. She was pregnant and dealing with this mess, but not bad enough to let them stay. Being pregnant doesn't give you the right to steal someone's house. Around 4 p.m., Ethan knocked on the door one last time. I opened it, but didn't invite him in. Stood in the doorway blocking his view of my house. "We're done. Happy now? I'll be happy when you're gone and my locks are changed." "You know what? Mom was right about you. You've always been cold. Always thought you were better than everyone because you didn't need help. This just proves it. You're not family. You're just someone we happen to be related to. Don't ever contact us again. Don't ask about the baby. Don't show up at holidays. We're done with you. If respecting boundaries makes me cold, then yeah, I'm cold. Don't ever take my stuff without asking again. And I mean never. Next time there will be no warning, just police." They left. I waited until they were completely out of my driveway and down the street before I let myself relax even a little bit. Then I did a full walkthrough of my house again, this time really looking at everything. They'd left it relatively clean, surprisingly. A few scuffs on the walls where they'd moved furniture, but nothing major. The nursery room was completely bare now, which honestly was the saddest part. That room had potential for so many things, but they'd turned it into a reminder of family dysfunction. I spent the rest of the weekend deep cleaning everything. Changed my sheets, scrubbed the bathroom, scrubbed that burn mark off the counter, reorganized my kitchen exactly how I had it before. Needed to reclaim my space completely. It felt violated, having someone else living in it without permission. Every surface they'd touched needed to be cleaned. Took down those nursery decals. Most came off clean, but a few left sticky residue that I had to scrub with rubbing alcohol. Moved all my furniture back to exactly where it was before. Reorganized my closet. Put my coffee mugs back in the right cabinet. Every single thing needed to go back to how I had it. By Sunday evening, my house felt like mine again. Clean, organized, exactly how I wanted it. But I still felt on edge. Like they might come back any time. Monday morning, the locksmith came right at 9 a.m. as scheduled. Changed everything. Front door, back door, garage door. New keys, new deadbolts, new locks on everything. That spare key my parents had was now completely useless. Cost me $400, but worth every penny for peace of mind. I stood there watching the locksmith work, feeling this sense of relief wash over me. They couldn't get back in now. Even if they tried. Even if my parents gave them the old key again, it wouldn't work. My house was secure. My parents called that afternoon. My dad went off immediately before I could even say hello. The locks? Really? You changed the locks like we're criminals? Like we can't be trusted? You gave my spare key to someone without permission. What did you expect? That I'd just let you keep access after you violated my trust like that? We expected you to act like family. We expected you to have some compassion for your brother's situation. Instead, you threw your pregnant sister-in-law out on the street like she was trash. What kind of man does that? Stop calling her my sister-in-law. They've been dating for 6 months. And I didn't throw anyone out on the street. They moved into my house without asking. Huge difference. One is me defending my property. The other would be me being cruel. Learn the distinction. My mom got on the phone. She was crying. Again with the crying. Ethan and Jess are staying with us now. Our basement isn't set up for a baby. This is so stressful for everyone. The baby could come any day now, and we don't have room for all of them. If you could just let them stay in your house until they find something affordable, it would solve everything. You're there alone in that big house. They'd be helping you with utilities and everything. It's a win-win. No. The answer is no. This conversation is over. Fine. Don't expect us to be there for you when you need help someday. Don't expect birthday calls or Christmas cards. You've made your choice and we're making ours. I've never expected anything from you anyway. I learned that lesson a long time ago. I hung up. Blocked my parents' numbers for a while because I couldn't deal with the constant guilt tripping. Blocked Ethan too. Blocked my aunt's number when she started sending me guilt trip texts too. Needed complete space from all of them to process this and move on. 3 weeks went by. Quiet weeks. I worked, came home, enjoyed my house in peace, didn't hear from any family. Started thinking maybe this was the new normal. Then, one night around 10 p.m., I'm watching TV and hear someone trying to unlock my back door. Not knocking. Actively trying to use a key. My heart started pounding. I grabbed my phone and pulled up my Ring camera app. There's Ethan on my back porch, trying to jam the old spare key into the new lock. He's turning it, jiggling it, trying to force it, getting more aggressive with each failed attempt. Then he pulls the key out, examines it like maybe he grabbed the wrong one, tries again. Still doesn't work. He starts swearing under his breath. I can see his face on the camera, frustrated and determined. Then he tries the windows. Starts at the window closest to the door, pulls on it. Locked. Moves to the next one. Locked. Goes down the line checking every single window on the back of my house. At one point he tries to pry one open with his hands. When that doesn't work, he looks around my back porch like he's searching for something to use as leverage. This isn't someone trying to talk. This is someone trying to break in. I called 911. There's someone trying to break into my house right now. The dispatcher kept me on the phone. Are they still there? Can you describe them? It's my brother. He moved into my house without permission 3 weeks ago. I evicted him and changed the locks. Now he's back trying to get in. Stay inside and away from the doors and windows. Officers are on their way. I watched through the app. Ethan moved to the side of the house now, checking those windows. Then he came around to the front door. Tried the old key again. Same result. Key doesn't fit the new lock. He started banging on the door with his fist. I know you're in there. Open up. We need to talk. I didn't respond. Just kept watching through the camera and waiting for the police. My hands were shaking, but I stayed quiet. He banged harder. Come on, man. Just let me in. We need to figure this out. Jess just had the baby and we need help. Open the door. Still didn't respond. He tried the doorbell multiple times, then went back to banging. At one point, he kicked the door. I made sure the Ring recorded all of it. 2 officers showed up within 8 minutes. I watched them pull up, get out of their patrol car, approach Ethan on my porch. He was still banging on my door when they walked up behind him. Sir, step away from the door. Ethan jumped, spun around. Oh, thank God you're here. My brother locked me out. I need to get my stuff. Is this your residence? No, but it's my brother's house. I'm family. I was staying here and he locked me out while I was gone. That's illegal, right? He can't just lock me out. Do you have permission to be here tonight? I shouldn't need permission. He's my brother. I was living here. Does the homeowner want you here right now? Ethan hesitated. Look, we had a disagreement, but I just need to talk to him. If you could just get him to open the door. The officers walked up to my door. I opened it. Are you the homeowner? Yes, that's my brother. He moved into my house without permission 3 weeks ago while I was out of town. I had to evict him. Changed all the locks. Now he's back trying to break in. I've got video of everything on my Ring camera. One officer looked at Ethan. Sir, is what he's saying true? Did you move in without permission? Ethan's face changed. That's not... Look, it's complicated. He's my brother. Family doesn't need permission. And I didn't break in, I used a key. A key that doesn't work anymore because I changed the locks, I said. I've got footage of him trying to force windows open. Do you want him arrested? I looked at Ethan. He was staring at me with this mixture of anger and disbelief, like he couldn't believe I'd actually do this. Like being family meant he could do whatever he wanted and face zero consequences. Yes, I want him arrested. The officer nodded. Sir, turn around and place your hands behind your back. You're under arrest for attempted breaking and entering. Ethan's face went red. Are you serious right now? He's my brother. This is family business. You can't arrest me for trying to get into my brother's house. You don't have permission to be here. You attempted to gain entry to a residence that's not yours. That's attempted breaking and entering. Turn around. This is insane. My girlfriend just had a baby. We need help and he's doing this? What kind of person arrests their own brother? The officer reached for his cuffs. Sir, turn around now, or you'll also be charged with resisting. Ethan finally turned around. They cuffed him right there on my front porch. Read him his rights while he kept shouting about how unfair this was, and how I was ruining his life, and how could I do this when Jess was pregnant, and they had a newborn and needed help. The officers weren't interested in the drama. They just did their job. One of them asked me if I wanted to press charges. I said yes, asked if I needed to come to the station. They said no. They'd file the report, and someone would contact me. As they walked Ethan to the patrol car, he turned back to me. You're dead to me. You hear me? Dead. Don't ever contact me again. Don't try to meet my daughter. Don't show up at holidays. You're not family anymore. You're nothing. I watched them put him in the back seat. Watched the patrol car drive away with him inside. Stood on my porch in the night air for a few minutes, processing what just happened. Bill came over to give a statement. Told the police about the original unauthorized move-in. Confirmed he'd witnessed tonight's break-in attempt. Made the case airtight. My parents found out within hours. Mom called from a different number, hysterical. Ethan is in jail. They set his bail at $5,000. We had to pay a bondsman. You had your own brother arrested. He tried to break into my house. He was just trying to talk to you. So he committed a crime. That was his choice. This is going on his record. How is he supposed to support his family with a criminal record? Should have thought about that first. Dad grabbed the phone. You've crossed a line. Pressing charges against your own brother? We raised you better than this. No. You raised Ethan to believe rules don't apply to him. You raised me to rely on myself. You succeeded at both. Don't call here again. Don't come to family gatherings. Ethan's child will grow up knowing they have grandparents who love them and an uncle who abandoned them. Sounds good. I hung up. Block that number too. Haven't spoken to them since. Ethan went to court 2 months later. I showed up with all my Ring footage, Bill's statement, and my eviction documentation. The prosecutor said it was one of the clearest cases he'd handled. Ethan pled guilty to attempted criminal trespass. Got a year of probation, a fine, and a restraining order keeping him 500 feet from my property. My parents didn't attend the hearing, neither did Jess. Ethan showed up with a public defender and accepted the plea deal. Looked miserable the whole time. The baby was born 3 weeks ago. I know because my aunt texted me a photo. She's the only family member still talking to me. She said Jess and Ethan are still in my parents' basement. Money's tight. Ethan lost his vape shop job because of the criminal record. He's doing food delivery now. Jess is on maternity leave from the salon, but might not go back because childcare costs more than she makes. Guys, we are so close to hit 100,000 subscribers on this channel. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. It really helps hit that 100,000 mark. Thanks for making this dream come true.